Hello and welcome to the latest installment of the AMIN Worldwide Thought Leadership Series. Today I have a very distinguished panel of guests, and we're going to be discussing food branding, European versus American perspectives, and really taking a look at how one of the most basic products in our everyday lives, the stuff that we eat 3-4 times a day, gets branded differently and how it fits into our lives and how consumer desires and perceptions are changing. First, I'd like to take a minute and introduce my guests. I have Enrico Zaniolo from Milk in Italy, and a regular guest of ours, Ismo Nicola from Zealand Family in Finland, and a first-time participant who I'm sure is going to enjoy the experience immensely, John January from SHS. And I think maybe with food branding, the place to start is with packaging. How would you say that packaging in America is evolving? And based on what you see from European brands and American markets, what are the differences between the two?
Well, I think in the States, packaging is becoming more and more important. And it's because I think consumers are looking for even more cues in terms of what it is that's in the package, right? So they're curious about traceability. They're curious about freshness. They're curious about all kinds of issues that really they weren't talking about before. So if it's meat, there are some consumers who are saying, I'd like to know that was no antibiotics ever. I'd like to know it's gluten-free. All the things in those sort of new drivers. So I think packaging is having to take on more than just sort of the price, value, flavor profile job that it was doing before, but having to reach a lot further.
Yeah, I agree. That's the same in Europe. It's the role of packaging is growing, and also one driving force behind that is that, like in Finland, the grocery stores don't let you do advertising inside the store anymore that much you used to do. So it's all reliant on packaging, whether you take it or not. And so on top of all the things you have to inform the consumer, you really need to stand out from the shelf also. So the role of packaging growing really fast.
Yeah, and I confirm that for Italy as well. It's Europe, but it's probably the country or one of the countries where before we used to consider the quality, the actual quality of the food so important that packaging was not a priority. Nowadays it has completely changed, and in a way we have learned from UK and US, because over there before us you started to dedicate more efforts in improving the packaging in order to make it stand out from the other products and in order to provide clearer information to the end user and, let's say, shorten the time taken for the decision to buy the product.
You know, another thing I think that's happening in the States is there are more local and regional brands that are really within their areas very, very popular. And those brands don't have massive advertising budgets. So the package is sometimes the only advertising the brand has.
So that really has to do the heavy lifting.
That's right.
What about the trends? Because I mean, one thing that I really heard in what you were initially saying about packaging is that the changes in packaging are being driven by a new awareness among consumers about health issues, about animal-related issues. Where are those issues coming from, and are we going to see more of that?
So I'll start by saying I think an educated consumer is a better consumer. I think that's great. You know, we've been talking as we've been here together of the conference. I mean, we're sort of in the post-truth era, or the sort of the fake news era, and I think there is misinformation out there about some things, you know, that consumers are really sort of glomming onto, and they're saying, hey, listen, I want to be gluten-free, but they may not even know why, or in some cases, they may not even know what gluten is, but they just think, they hear, well, we shouldn't eat gluten, so okay. And so I think brands have a real opportunity to help educate and to help say, listen, okay, here's this product, and here are the attributes that it's meaning. Now here's why that's important, and here's what it can mean. And I think brands have sort of not been proactive enough in taking on some of those issues, at least in terms of the States, because I think at least where we are, the extra cost of some of those products, or the extra cost of a fully organic product, out of reach for some consumers. So I think choice is still important, but it's just a matter of really brands taking that lead and sort of educating people. So I don't think it's stopping. I think it's growing, at least in the States.
Yeah, the same.
And it's growing as long as brands understand they don't have just to follow trends, aligning to what other brands are already doing, because that's, in my opinion, the reason why we've got a huge number of products where the information of being free from something has been more important than telling what is actually in the product.
Yeah.
So you've got everything sugar-free, gluten-free, or palm oil-free, which has become an information standing in front of the actual information that could make your product being chosen for what it is and for the actual benefits, not for the damages that it's not giving you. So I really believe that a brand that would like to stand out from the crowd needs to work in another way.
But at the same time, actually, we see that we have meat packages where they say grass-fed, and what's in it. And at the same time, it's no antibiotics, it's grass-fed. Well,
Right.
the cow is grass-fed. What else?
Right.
But it gives you authenticity and somehow the feeling that it's been, the cow has walked freely in the fields and eating grass.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we run into that I think both marketers and agencies I think need to be aware of is that the consumer pressure. So it used to be we will sort of tell you what the product is and you'll buy it, but that flow has really been reversed.
Yeah.
So that pressure doesn't just stop with the marketer. That goes all the way back to the farm. And I think what we find is some marketers don't really understand what's happening at the farm, and so they can't properly tell the story to the consumer.
Are we seeing a desire to return to the artisanal type of production? Is that desire for authenticity translating into wanting to get to products that are so small they can't be brands?
Definitely, we're seeing that. It's kind of trying to get the simplicity also, that and that from farm to table kind of thing. We were discussing earlier about things that from farm to table restaurants are very interesting. But also we see artisanal beer, we see artisanal bread.
And then I think it's that romance of, well, I know the family that made that, or I've actually been to the farm. So agritourism is a big thing in the States, where you can actually come to the dairy farm and see.
Really?
Oh yeah, see where the milk is made, it's just all part of it. So, but I think it's all sort of all three of those factors.
So how do packaged goods producers respond to this trend? What do they need to do to tweak their brands, adjust their marketing to stay relevant?
In my opinion, and this comes also from our local perception, we have a sort of heritage of farm-to-table consumption because we're used to that. So then
You're Italian.
We're Italian. Then we had the food industry showing us a lot of advantages in terms of choice, availability, price, easy to use and whatever. And this goes along with all the supply chain development, so chilled food, ready meals, frozen food, etc. But then we have to realize, especially for our role as agencies, that what we are selling to the consumer, it's not just the food. If we want to have a long-term successful strategy, what we need to sell is an experience. So romance is part of the experience, because what you like to have is not just something to fill your stomach, but something that satisfies you from many points of view.
Emotionally.
Emotionally, absolutely.
Knowing that you're all about emotions.
Yes,
So.
yes.
But it's you can see really funny things. We have one free-range egg producer who started an egg express. So they do free-range. The chicken can run wherever they want, and in a certain area, and they have like 70,000 Facebook fans.
Yeah.
And they're driving with their trucks to different places. They have an internet page where you can order. When they come close to you, you order there. You pay when they come. they started to collect other farmers' stuff to the same truck.
Yep.
And now they sell like meat, eggs, and I think the original guy who started it, he doesn't have his own chicken anymore. So he's very active in social media. He's a farmer, chicken raiser, and he's very active in social media with his own face, own opinions. He's been in television because he wants to have free range chicken, and so everything is natural and things like bread, meat. He has everything.
And that's the exact same scenario of this dairy that I was talking about. Same thing, and I think it's that craving for authenticity that
I think so
that
too.
we were talking about earlier.
In terms of marketing, technology in Italy is still more in the hand of the retailers rather than the producers.
Speaking of retail, I know that you work a lot with retail, Ismo. What's going on there in a European context? And then, of course, love to see how that compares to America.
Oh, the American retail is really going fast at the moment. I think European is now behind in that, but it's there's quite many things in retail which kind of intrigue me in a sense.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to date our conversation, but Amazon just bought Whole Foods
that's
in
crazy.
the United States, and so there's a lot of things that are going to be changing, and you've been seeing it coming, and I don't know how the meal delivery services have been working in Europe, but in terms of the United States, we've got brands like Blue Apron, HelloFresh, and this is where you kind of say the size family you want. You can pick from several different recipes. The box shows up on your doorstep with meals for the week. Those are in various stages, so you can kind of pick, which I would like it more finished for me, but it's really interesting because the box shows up, you open up, the ingredients are beautiful, the carrots are perfect, you still prepare them, but you didn't really do the shopping, it just sort of showed up, and so that's one of the things that's happening in retail, and that's why partly why the Amazon thing is going to be such a big deal, is just that convenience factor. And the data opportunities in all of that are mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's starting in Finland also. There's been a lot of new box companies coming up. One
right.
is very healthy. That if you start eating this, you're gonna lose weight and feel good and things like that. And the other one is just gourmet.
Yeah.
4 days gourmet or something else, and that's true. They are always perfect condition and it's really easy and not that expensive.
No, really not. But I just think the whole data side is going to be interesting.
Let's maybe stay focused on retail a little bit. What are we seeing in terms of changes within the retail environment? You mentioned signage and advertising, POS, being kind of minimized, if not eliminated, in Finland. What else are we seeing when it's in that final moment of truth, as Procter & Gamble likes to call it?
For us, it's been really minimized. So it's only the packaging and they've been really strict on that. All the stores look the same, and even I don't know, even too much. I think the kind of the experience is you're lacking the experience.
I think in the States, the retailers have been pretty transactional. And so I like what you say about maybe coming back more to the experience, because I think that's where the opportunity is. And we have a similar phenomenon where you've got, higher end stores, kind of everyday stores. But even the everyday stores, almost all of them have a bakery. They've almost all got a fresh meat case. It's very they're large stores. So from a POP aspect, there's still, you can still do some things. It's prohibitively expensive. So it's really a challenge for smaller brands to be able to pull things like that off. So what we've been seeing is that nobody goes shopping without the phone in the hand.
I was just going to get to the mobile and ask how that was playing out.
And so it's how can, what can we do prior to walking in through the sliding doors? Can we do to make sure that we're on the mobile shelf, or at least have an opportunity to get a message in there before the moment of truth.
But it's funny, the experiential shop environment is not coming yet that much. If we compare like sporting goods, they have these flagship stores or clothing brands like Hollister, Anthropologie, things like that. When you go into the shop, it's an experience, a total experience kind of thing. And still the retail, the grocery stores, they lacking that. They go into the other direction. And I'm hoping it should be the same kind of, when you come in, it's like, ooh, I want to buy this.
But isn't that what Whole Foods at least started out trying to do?
It's and I think there's a lot, but again, that's why, I think most retailers have been pretty transactional.
Good.
And so that's that new opportunity, and as those new drivers that we talked about in terms of the authenticity, and as those really become more important,
higher touch and an experience.
I think more experience is on its way.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up here, what I'd like to see is to get you guys maybe to put on your thinking caps and look forward a little bit. And what are going to be the unexpected trends of the next couple of years? Let's do a little prognostication here. Everybody's talking about mobile. Everybody's talking about beacons. Authenticity is clearly on the radar. What's not on the radar yet?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we've hit on it with experience, and I'm trying to remember the brand that did it, but this notion of you can walk into the store, you pick whatever you want off the shelf, you walk right out of the store.
That's Amazon.
That's Amazon.
Test stores, yeah.
Okay, so I think that's there. I think it's improving that shopping experience and providing, literally having a customer experience that is a little more than just I've got my list and I've got to run through.
Go through the maze and toss things in the
right.
basket.
Yeah, I'm waiting for home delivery or collect point to really, that somebody cracks the idea of how to do it, because this far we haven't really found out a good way to do it. But there must be something that I don't have to spend my time in the shop, which will be really, really hard for the brands, but which will be for the consumer, it will be really good because it lowers also the amount of food you buy. But I don't know how to do it, but somebody's going to crack it.
Okay, very interesting. That was a definitely different perspective and cool. Gentlemen, thanks a lot. I think there's been a whole lot of good information and discussion. Very much appreciated. I hope that was useful for you and provided the kind of actionable, real-life information that can help your brand that we seek to provide with this series. And as AMIN Worldwide, look forward to welcoming you to another segment. Thank you very much.